In the darkest moments of despair, when it feels like the walls of your mind are closing in, remember this: anxiety is not the end. It is the beginning of a battle that you were born to win. The ancient Stoics believed that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This is the essence of anxiety: fear of what might happen, of what could be. And yet, it is often a shadow that fades when we confront it with the light of reason and action. Anxiety is an insidious companion, creeping into the corners of our minds, whispering doubts, fears, and insecurities. It tells us that we are not enough, that the world is too much, and that we are powerless in the face of its overwhelming force. But what if I told you that this very anxiety, this paralyzing fear, could be your greatest teacher? What if the thing you dread the most could be the key to unlocking your true potential? Consider this. Over 40 million adults in the United States alone suffer from anxiety disorders. That's nearly 18% of the population. Yet, how many of these individuals realize that anxiety is not a life sentence, but a call to action? It is the mind's way of signaling that something needs to change, that growth is on the horizon, if only we dare to face it. In the 19th century, philosopher Soren Kierkegaard described anxiety as the dizziness of freedom. He believed that anxiety arises when we confront the boundless possibilities of our existence, when we realize that we are the architects of our own lives. And with that power comes the responsibility to choose, to act, to live fully. This is the paradox of anxiety. It can be both a curse and a blessing, depending on how we choose to respond. History is filled with examples of individuals who have turned their anxiety into triumph. Take Winston Churchill, who battled with what he called his black dog of depression and anxiety throughout his life. Yet, it was this very struggle that gave him the resilience and tenacity to lead Britain through its darkest hours during World War II. Churchill once said, "If you're going through hell, keep going." It is this spirit of perseverance, of pushing through the fear and uncertainty, that we must all embrace. The key to overcoming anxiety lies in understanding its roots. Anxiety is a natural response to perceived threats, a survival mechanism hardwired into our brains. But in the modern world, these threats are often not physical but psychological. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. These fears can cripple us if we allow them to. But they can also be the catalyst for profound personal growth. To conquer anxiety, we must first learn to recognize it for what it is: a signal, not an enemy. It is the mind's way of telling us that something is out of balance, that we need to take action. This action can take many forms, from practical steps like mindfulness meditation, exercise, and therapy, to deeper, more introspective work like challenging negative thought patterns and beliefs. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective treatments for anxiety, is based on the idea that our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. By changing the way we think about a situation, we can change the way we feel and act. For example, instead of catastrophizing, imagining the worst possible outcome, we can train ourselves to look at situations more realistically, to see the possibilities rather than just the pitfalls. Another powerful tool in overcoming anxiety is mindfulness. This ancient practice, rooted in Buddhist philosophy, teaches us to stay present in the moment, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, and to let go of the need to control everything. In doing so, we learn to accept our anxiety as a part of life, rather than something to be feared or avoided. As Jon Kabat-Zinn, the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, famously said, "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." But perhaps the most important step in overcoming anxiety is to take action, even when it feels impossible. As the psychologist and philosopher William James once observed, action may not bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. When we face our fears head-on, when we step out of our comfort zones and take risks, we begin to build the confidence and resilience needed to overcome anxiety. The Japanese concept of kaizen, or continuous improvement, teaches us that even small, incremental changes can lead to significant results over time. By taking one step at a time, by making small, positive changes in our lives, we can gradually reduce our anxiety and build a life that is rich, fulfilling, and free from the constraints of fear.